Girls of Reddit, what's something guys do that creep you out? Here's my hug. My friend, who has never had a relationship so he's decently deprived of physical contact and recently told me he's unsure about his sexuality, has recently started saying I don't do handshakes. I do hugs and I hate it. I despise being touched unless I'm the one to initiate it. He knows this. It leads to a bunch of really awkward moments where he clearly expects me to apologize for not giving him a hug. Like we are both grown men. I saw you 2 days ago. You live 3 blocks away. Stop trying to coerce me into a hug. Stand too close. The feeling of someone invading your personal space, even just by standing those extra couple of inches closer than usual, sends all sorts of alarm bells ringing for me, especially if you edge back a little. Politely, but they just come back in. Whenever anyone does this, regardless of how nice a conversation we might have been having prior to this, I just want to shove them out of the way and run like hell, and trust me, it takes a lot for this tubby little T-witch to feel like running. I recently had a guy who drove his truck by my house as I was bringing my garbage cans in from the curb. By the time I turned around he had backed his truck up and said I needed to find someone to do that for me. I just kind of laughed and said I'm good and grabbed the last garbage can. I thought that was it, but then he was still there when I turned back around. Are you taking applications? He says. I just say I'm good, thanks, and head into my house. The dude sits there for another minute and then leaves. It's creepy enough having something like this happen. But for duck's sake, don't ever hit on a woman in front of her ducking house. It made me so extremely uncomfortable. My husband couldn't even believe it when I told him about it. Had a male co-worker take me outside to look at owls in some trees, which was cool, but he pinched my shirt at the small of my back to redirect my attention so I could spot them. He's a nice guy and not threatening, but for some reason it made me flush hot with anxiety and dread because we were in a really secluded location where no one could see us. It was probably an overreaction on my part but was an automatic response I couldn't help. I don't think he's a creep but feels worth mentioning so guys know how much it may scare a female to touch them unexpectedly in a secluded location. Just don't do that please. Probably not as bad as some of the things here, but there was the boy who I used to sit near in a few classes and we talked here and there cause we had a few of the same interests. Then one day he came out and said he liked me. I told him I didn't and we were still friends after that, but he got a lot more persistent. He'd bring his chair a little too close to me. If I moved to sit with someone else he'd drag a seat near us. If I spoke to any other guy he would literally start yelling at them, and when I told him to stop he just said he being protective of his girl. I was super uncomfortable the whole time and had to switch seats or transfer out of any class we shared because my anxiety would shoot through the roof when I saw him. Guys and girls, don't do this, it's seriously awful. I recently had a Lyft passenger who didn't put in an actual address but he pretended like he did. Spent the whole ride asking me out. Then told me I went way past his address and that he wouldn't tell me where to go unless I agreed to out with him. Then tried to get me to go into his house with him. Stop doing this shit. Learn that no means no. We owe you nothing. Kindness does not mean interest, especially if we are at work. Comment on my clothing. Like if I know you fine, but if you're a random dude in Walmart who wants to have a 5-minute long conversation about how ripped my jeans are, you can duck off. I've had guys just stand kinda close and wait to be included in whatever I'm doing. Like just stand there staring. It's cool if you're doing it to a group, but if I'm alone it's so creepy. Had a guy try to hit on me at my dad's funeral. He was being super creepy, touching my waist on accident, invading my personal space, etc. When I asked him to leave me alone he still tried to hit on me. Eventually I pointed to the casket and said, "Do you see that? That's my dad. So show him and I some ducking respect and leave me alone." He left pretty soon after that. Men, don't hit on women at funerals. Not cute. Ugh, when random guys just text you, like no idea who that person is, for nudes, hook up and shit. Someone in my class once said they'd finger me if I did their homework for them. I wonder what the thought process was behind that. He really thought he was doing you a favor? when they get super attached super quickly. I've had a lot of guys message me online and they tend to get quickly attached, giving me nicknames, baby, babe, babageral, etc. Constantly asking for selfies, finding all my accounts and following them. I've had a few who've followed me on all my accounts so they can message me on my second. When I lose their message, leave them on read from the first, then they'll HM you on my third account. Also had guys who tried to hit up my sister message me just to get to her. Other guys who've messaged my brother to get to her. Fellas, a word of advice. If she's sending short responses and eventually doesn't respond at all, there's a good chance she's not interested. Don't try to get to her using her other accounts or her siblings. It comes across as creepy and desperate, especially if you've never even met before. I can't even be mildly nice to guys without them assuming I'm interested in them. I get along really well with nerdy dorky guys, but I haven't had one guy friend be okay with being just friends, even if they have a GF. Out of the dozen or so guy friends I've had over the years, I'm not friends with anymore because I didn't want to date them. Outcast guys are just as bad as jerks. I work with elderly people and the creepiest thing is when old men like 80 plus proclaim their never-ending love to me. I'm 18. Sliding into my DMs when we've never ever had a single conversation. I'm all for making friends online, but I'm not going to start privately messaging with you because you've decided I'm your manic pixie dream girl or whatever. I only DM with people I already feel comfortable with. Otherwise it feels very invasive. Like someone turning up on your doorstep saying, hey, so I saw you in town the other day and I didn't speak to you at all but you seemed really cool. Can I come in for a coffee? I promise I'm not a homicidal maniac. Tell me I'm pretty over and over once is a compliment. Repeating it sporadically throughout the conversation at regular intervals is weird as hell and makes girls uncomfortable. Try to block my way. Have had men playfully stand in doorways and refuse to move and get upset when I get agitated. Start calling me by pet names when we've just met. I gave my number to a really sweet guy. We texted and in about an hour he was calling me his queen and princess and all sorts of just really weird, intimate nicknames. I told him I was uninterested pretty soon after that. I hate being approached in public when I am by myself. I've had numerous guys approach me in the mall and try to strike up a convo with me, hit on me. I was wearing a shirt with Link and Epona one day in the mall. These two guys were walking by and staring at me. Then they said nice shirt, so I said thank you to be polite. Then they walked in front of me to stop me so that they could keep talking to me. They insisted I come play Smash Bros with them sometime and wanted me to add them on my Switch and on Facebook. Then they tried to ask me for a hug goodbye when I tried to get away from them. Also, when guys try to pick you up at your place of employment. I've had so many customers try to get my number when I used to work in retail. I had one customer that actually called the store back half an hour after he left because I seemed like such a sweet girl and was really pretty, and it was really nice of me to return his game for him. I returned his game because I was doing my job, lol. He proceeded to ask for my number so that we could get a drink sometime. No thanks. It got so bad that when certain customers came into the store, my manager would send me to the stock room until they left so that I didn't feel uncomfortable or get creeped on. Speaking on behalf of my wee sister here, she went through depression a few months back and still had guys in her DMs constantly. The sheer amount that said they could fix her was unreal, utterly disgusting. She deleted Snapchat because of it. I'm not a girl, but watching a guy ask for a hug is always creepy. He usually asks with puppy dog eyes too and is oblivious to the look on the woman's face that screams discomfort right after he makes the request. Message me on FB. See that I'm married. Then say I got to ask. Are you happily married? No dude. You didn't have to ask. Duck off into the sun. Not a girl, but a feminine looking dude who gets mistaken for one more often than not. There's the obvious wolf whistling, grabbing my ass and stuff. But the thing that upset me the most was when I worked retail. I could tell the customers who thought I was a woman because they spoke to me differently. I was 16 at the time, getting like 40-year-old men calling me baby and shit just because I was a girl in a game store. When a guy you have no feelings for starts getting romantic for no reason. I had this happen to me recently and it was unsettling AF. He started telling me that he remembers the days I wore a certain dress and calling me late into the night to check up on me and making plans to move into my apartment building. You can't just start treating me like a GF buddy without at least checking with me if I wanna date you. When you're in a crowded place and a guy tries to move past you from behind and he grabs your waist and rubs his genitals against you as he moves along. You don't have to touch someone to move past them. Say excuse me and move along. The following have all been done by strangers on the street. Following me after I ignored a greeting. Stopping me in the street to ask for my number. Catcalling. Compliments on the street. Getting into my personal space while I'm literally taking steps away from that person. Random greeting using babe, hot stuff, gorgeous etc. and many more. That basically sum up as the reason I don't go out alone at night. Can I get a pic of you? I promise I won't ask for nudes immediately. That's not reassuring. Now I'm thinking about nudes of a wooden duck. Touch the small of my back when going behind me, presumably to let me know they're passing. Yet you never see them doing the same when they walk behind guys. I'm going to say guys trying to hit on me through my daughter. OMG, your daughter is so beautiful. Yeah, I mean she's 2 but she's pretty cute. Just like her mommy. Okay, we're going to go. Refuse to back off after repeatedly being shot down. I told you that I do not like you and that I am not interested. Following me around like a lost puppy and talking to me constantly while I'm trying to work is not going to change my stance. I can turn you straight. It's not funny. It's creepy that you're coming onto a gay girl. Also, the hands. The hand sanitizer hands. Please don't. Like please. When I worked as a cashier, playfully hold on to the bills they were giving me so I had to play tug of war with them just to do my ducking job. If you message me on social media, please don't call me baby girl. It's weird. Edit. Grammar. When you make sure to tell them that you have a boyfriend and aren't interested, or they either get agitated and say you're bullshitting and call you names or keep pushing further and further until you're cornered. Best comment of the day. I'm female and don't wear makeup because I don't like it on me. But I do appreciate the time and artistry when I see a woman who obviously spent time on getting it perfect. I always try to compliment the art of it, even if I know I wouldn't be caught dead with it on my face. I would imagine being told you don't need it is just as annoying as people asking me why I don't wear it, as if it's a requirement for being a woman. The answer is simple. I don't want to, and for me, it doesn't feel any different than walking around with toast jelly on my face. It makes me feel like my face is dirty. If you don't feel that when you wear it, that is awesome. Carry on.